Nigeria has aligned with the position of the G77 and China group at the closure of negotiations at COP26 in Glasgow. The G77 and China group is pleased with the progress made on loss and damage, which is described as a solid outcome of COP26. Presented by Ahmadou Gebori Dure, the delegate for Guinea and spokesman of the G77 and China. The group appreciates the spirit of flexibility exhibited so far, but says its compromise is with the expectation that the end goal of financial compensation for damages caused by climate change will be met. Acting Director, Department of Climate Change, Halima Bawa-Buhari, stated Nigeria's position aligning with the G77 and China group. The closing negotiation has ended while talks for adjourned for closing plenary. The federal government has refuted allegations leveled against it by a US-based non-profit organization that the Nigerian government is a sponsor of terrorism, describing the allegation as a distraction orchestrated by those seeking to weaken the ongoing massive onslaught against terrorism and banditry. The details are hereby presented.
In a statement issued by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, the so-called Global Advocates for Terrorism Eradication GATE should be ignored, adding, how can a serious organization accuse a government which is tackling the twin evil of terrorism and banditry with uncommon determination of sponsoring terrorism? The statement further adds it is curious about why the organization has chosen this particular time when terrorists are either surrendering in droves or running helter-skelter as a result of a renewed offensive against them by the military to orchestrate a distraction, and indicates GATE's motive is to weaken the fight against terror and banditry. The minister says the allegation is fake news and maintains that the federal government makes bold to say no administration in Nigeria has risen to the challenge of terrorism like the Buhari administration. The acquisition of myriad platforms, the boost to the morale of fighting forces, and the leadership provided by President Muhammadu Buhari have combined to put the gallant troops to confront and put on the run terrorists, while Nigeria's efforts at tackling terrorism have been hailed globally. Therefore, what the armed forces need at this time is the support, encouragement, and prayers of all, not the distraction of the organization masquerading as a terrorism eradication advocate. The statement adds, the federal government is therefore calling on Nigerians to disregard these allegations and continue to support the armed forces of Nigeria.
The Nigerian security architecture will leverage on the defense attaches system to stem the emerging threats. This is part of the resolution at the end of the 2021 Annual Defense Attaches Conference in Abuja. Issues of administrative bottleneck and poor funding were raised.
The conference equally enabled the review of the operational activities of the defense sessions as well as their administrative issues in the present year with a view to projecting for the year 2022.
The outcome of the conference has attested to the relevance of the defense advisors and attaches system in advancing national security and defense objectives. To this end, the Defense Intelligence Agency will continue to leverage on the defense attaché system in support of ongoing engagements of the armed forces of Nigeria, especially in our contemporary security context.
The conference has the theme, Advancing Counter-Terrorism Efforts Through Enhanced Interagency Cooperation, a whole-of-government approach. In another development, in view of the dynamism and complex nature of the current and emerging threats, the Defense Intelligence Agency is undertaking a self-appraisal platform to enhance operation and intelligence gathering. With Nigeria's defense attaches to more than 90 countries as participants and former chiefs of defense intelligence in attendance, the retreat is aimed at repositioning the intelligence-driven agency towards a proactive, sustainable national security.
Considering the extant security challenges in the country, the need to put together a self-examination mechanism in line with global best practices to ensure optimal performance evaluation has become necessary. This retreat will undoubtedly serve as an avenue to identify new lessons and challenges, discuss modalities of overcoming such challenges, and re-strategize for the future.
Lectures at 2021 Media Retreat is focused on contemporary threat assessment and national development. The Nigerian Air Force, under Joint Operation Hardin K, has destroyed ISWAP terrorists, including high-ranking ISWAP commanders at Marte in Borno State. The NAF, in a statement, indicates that this was achieved on Friday, 12th November 2021, following credible intelligence that ISWAP terrorists were converging on a location in Marte for a meeting on the fringes of Lake Chad. NAF surveillance confirmed the meeting location and fighter jets were dispatched to the area, which indicated the arrival of a high-profile personality surrounded by fighters and a flag, all of whom were neutralized following NAF strikes. Local sources later confirmed that several ISWAP fighters, foot soldiers, Hizbah police and commanders of the ISWAP faction were killed in the airstrike, including Special Militant Forces or Region and Commander Muhammad Bako and ISWAP Chief Imam Muhammad Mulama, among others. The National Human Rights Commission will continue to advocate the promotion and protection of human rights in Nigeria in order to have better egalitarian society. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Tony Ojukwu, reinstated this on the arrangements being put in place for the nomination and selection of deserving federal institutions, state government and civil society organizations for recognition at the third edition of the National Human Rights Award.
These awards are in realization of the fact that the human rights situation in the country, despite these daunting challenges, can maintain a steady improvement if individuals and organizations are encouraged to do more by appreciating their efforts in advancing the cause of human rights in the country. The Commission, therefore, deems it very crucial to encourage federal government agencies, state governments, and civil society organizations to continue to advance the promotion and protection of human rights in Nigeria.
The Commission also called on ministries, departments, and agencies to respect all court judgments and contribute in the promotion of social justice system in the country. We now join Adeola in our Lagos Network Center for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Adeola, it's over to you.
Hello, Aya. Thank you. Regulations and procedures to stop the infiltration of adulterated lubricants into the Nigerian markets are being enforced to sanitize the automobile industry for optimal performance. The regulatory body against substandard products, while interacting with stakeholders, was emphatic on adequate sanctions to erring manufacturers. Abolade Salami reports.
The automobile industry suffers a great deal of adulterated lubricants mischievously brought into the market under the pretense of meeting the required standard. While most vehicles and generating engines bear the brunt, authorized manufacturers and importers of genuine lubricants are counting their losses as illegal producers of substandard automobile oil smile to the bank. Worried by this trend and violation of the code of practice, manufacturers of lubricants were invited by the regulatory body to come up with suggestions on how to get rid of this unpatriotic act being perpetuated by some players in the industry.
Enforcement will use our intelligence reports and enforce and confiscate properties and prosecute people from doing the wrong thing. And we'll continue reaching out to the individuals and the stakeholders so that we understand each other, so we can find ways to improve both the law and the system so that their business is much easier and more protected.
Has revealed that most operators in this unlawful business mislead unsuspecting end users through dubious means of refilling unprocessed lubricants into a known brand of products and display in the market for purchase. Providing the needed information to the regulatory body for quick intervention was agreed upon as key to addressing the challenge.
I'm just hoping that we'll take concrete steps based on the discussions that we've had today going forward on how to clean up the system so that the average Nigerian will get the best quality of lubricants in the market.
At the end of the meeting, a consensus was reached that at no point should anyone succumb to compromise. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Now, the Gulf of Guinea in the last 3 quarters of a year was rid of piracy and sea robbery attacks on the premise of a reinvigorated tactical strategies deployed by officers and men of the Nigerian Navy Western Command. Flag Officer Commanding Western Naval Command Rear Admiral Jason Gbassa, while inaugurating the 4th quarter sea exercise codenamed Exercise Omititun, said regular surveillance will be carried out within its domain. Again, Abolade Salami reports.
The Western Naval Command accounts for about 90% of shipping activities in Nigeria, thereby placing on its shoulders an enormous task to secure the territorial waters from all maritime thefts and piracy. The command, in the course of the year, had conducted a series of operations to establish credible presence at sea, execute mission-specific tasks to effectively deny criminals freedom of operation within the command's area of responsibility. To further cement gains recorded in the Gulf of Guinea as regards a well-secured domain, the command is inaugurating Exercise Omititun to assess operational status of ships in our fleet, as well as align training objectives with operational requirements.
The Nigerian Navy is recognized as a dominant force, indeed an hegemony within the West African sub-region and across the continent. Nigerian Navy is recognized for its capacity to be able to contain criminality within our waters.
The sea exercise will avail personnel opportunity to sharpen their anti-piracy skill, oil rig protection, fleet maneuver, communication, vessel board search and secure, as well as search and rescue operation.
In this anti-piracy operation exercise, we intend to train our men on how to search and locate vessels, how to share information between ships and helicopters in operation.
A total of 6 ships, 2 helicopters, and a detachment of Nigerian Navy Special Boat Service, alongside 2 deep project ships, will be deployed for the exercise. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
We shall take a breather now. When we return, it will be time for Muhammad in Maiduguri to give us stories from that zone.
Welcome to Maiduguri on Nationwide. Chairman House of Representatives Committee on Army Abdulrazak Saad Namda says the House is diversifying additional means to fund the armed forces of Nigeria to enable it to execute all ongoing operations for lasting peace to reign in affected areas across the country. The chairman disclosed this when he led members of the committee to headquarters, Theatre Command Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai in Maiduguri as part of the committee's oversight function. Memuna Garba reports.
After several tours to army formations, members of the House of Representatives Committee on Army arrived to Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, in continuation of its oversight function. The visit afforded the members the opportunity to see the efforts of the military in the ongoing counter-insurgency operations, as well as challenges being faced with a view to addressing them. Chairman of the committee, Abdulrazak Saad Namdas, commended the military in the northeast for curtailing the activities of the insurgents as the terrorists are now surrendering. While expressing satisfaction with the significant peace being enjoyed in the northeast, Abdulrazak Namdas said synergy amongst the security agencies and the logistics being provided will help the army succeed in all its operations. The House Committee on Army, the chairman further assured, will continue to support the Nigerian Army deliver on all its mandate and help in the construction and rehabilitation of army barracks, as well as welfare of troops to succeed.
We cannot rely on daily or yearly budgetary allocations. We have a bill called the Armed Forces Support Trust Fund that already has passed the third reading. We are waiting concurrence from the Senate. And once that is passed and the President signs into law, we have another way of funding the armed forces generally.
While urging troops to continue with the gallantry, Abdurazak Namdas said the committee will continue to appropriate funds to address issues affecting them. Theater Commander Operation Haɗin Kai, Major General Christopher Musa, appreciated members of the committee for supporting the army and promised to continue with the good work. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Still on security, as part of non-kinetic approach to ending the lingering Boko Haram insurgency, Theater Commander Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Major General Christopher Musa, has presented over 900 customized school bags and cash assistance to 10 different schools in Borno State to enhance teaching and learning. The presentation took place at Command Day Secondary School, Malari Cantonment. Memuna Garba again reports.
I'm promising to read very hard, and I'm very happy and excited.
I want to appreciate the theater commander. Thank you for giving us the bag.
These were the words of some students that benefited from the theater commander's benevolence. Apart from the kinetic approach, the military in the northeast region, in its quest to end the lingering Boko Haram insurgency, has resorted to non-kinetic operations to restore lasting peace to the zone, hence the educational support by the theater commander. While calling on the students to be courageous and hardworking, the theater commander, Major General Christopher Musa, equally enjoined them to focus on their studies in order to become good members of the society.
This is Operation Hadinkai. We want everybody to have a sense of belonging. So they say charity begins at home, so we start at home and then we spread that outside. We ensure that every student gets a bag at least that he knows he can associate with the theater.
Acting Director 7th Division Education Service Colonel Abdul Mumin Ahmed commended the thesis initiative, saying Command Day Secondary School Malari has been performing well in all its external examinations and solicited the theater commander's support in addressing few challenges affecting the school. Command Boys Science Secondary School Aunu, that of Ringa, Biu, Brate and Maiduguri, as well as Army Children's School 1 and 2, among other schools, benefited from the gesture. The theater commander also gave 150,000 naira to each of the benefiting schools to be shared amongst teachers and students. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, News.
Those are the stories from Maiduguri. Nationwide returns to Abuja with Ayodeji.
Thanks, Mohammed, in our Maiduguri Network Center. Let's talk some health matters. It has been estimated that over 422 million persons are living with diabetes globally, with the number expected to rise to 522 million by 2030 if nothing is done. In an attempt to check this projection, some organizations have kick-started a campaign on prevention and risk associated with diabetes as they begin activities to mark this year's World Diabetes Day, celebrated 14th November every year. Charles Alpha reports.
Nigeria accounts for 1.2 million out of the over 422 million persons living with diabetes globally, representing 1 out of every 17 adults, as captured by a United Nations report. For the Diabetes Association of Nigeria, Diabetes Help and Enlightenment Organization, FCT resident doctors, NISA, Sunflower Nigeria, and the Nigeria Police Medical Services, the number is alarming and requires urgent steps to curtail the rising cases and the 2030 projection.
It is very expensive for every patient as a diabetic to manage himself without the support of the government. So we are drawing and seeking attention of the government to pay attention to diabetic care and diabetic management. If possible, subsidize it or make it completely free, like what the polio people are enjoying or HIV people are enjoying.
Over 90% can be prevented or reversed by lifestyle modification. So we are raising awareness so that people should not assume they don't have diabetes.
I was found to have had diabetes in 2010, and since then I've been living with diabetes. I'll be managing it, but it was because I was not aware of diabetes.
My diabetes have taken me more than 10 years, and I've been managed through this organization when I come to know them.
Like, I've not had any program like diabetes like this, so now I have the opportunity now to know that if you really want to know if you are diabetes, patient, then you have to go to the hospital for normal checkups.
Access to diabetes care, if not now, when, is the focus of this year's celebration. In Abuja, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Going by statistics from the International Diabetes Federation, about 537 million adults are now estimated to be living with diabetes globally. 6.7 million people are said to have died from the disease, and a higher percentage of this number from Africa, even after 100 years that insulin was discovered. Chimdimma Indabisa brings us details as the global community marks the 2021 World Diabetes Day.
50-year-old Peter Agada, an architect, has been living with type 2 diabetes for 22 years now, a health condition where the body loses the ability to utilize food intake as a source of energy and nutrition, leading to elevated glucose in the blood. He is one of the 24 million people said to be living with the condition in Africa.
Past frequent urine. Sometimes you have sleep apnea. You don't sleep well at night. You feel like drinking a lot of water.
A worrisome trend, however, is that more children are coming down with diabetes, while about 60 to 70% of people walking the streets do not know they have the disease until complications set in.
Aging is a risk factor. The other risk factor is overweight and obesity. A family history. Diabetes can affect the eye and cause blindness. Blood gets to our brain. Diabetes can cause stroke, can cause even dementia. Blood gets to, the heart muscle can be affected by diabetes.
Managing diabetes takes a toll on the pockets of the sufferers, as findings reveal that managing the health condition gulps as high as 10 to 30,000 naira a month. That's why those who wear the shoes are calling for government intervention in line with the focus of this year's commemoration: access to diabetes care. If not now, when?
Every hospital, every primary health center should have a glucometer. That is the number one thing government should do. Can also make subsidized diabetic drugs.
Prevention is the key word here.
Avoid sweet things as much as possible. We encourage them to consume complex carbohydrates and not refined carbohydrates, and a lot of, vegetables. Consumption of oil must be very minimal.
The projection is that by year 2030, 643 million people in the world would be diabetic, and by 2045, the figure would rise to 784 million. In Abuja, Chimdimma Ndubisi, NTA News.
Now joining me in the studio to discuss on some of the issues raised in that report on the World Diabetes Day is Dr. Angela Aibolo. She's with the Gariki Hospital here in Abuja. You're welcome to Nationwide on the NTA.
Thank you for having me.
Now, 1 in 10 adults is said to be living with diabetes globally, and 1 in 2 of this has been diagnosed. Why so?
Okay, that's very true, because as we all know, we in the low and middle income countries, most people don't even go seek health care because of the financial burden and also the cost implications as well. So when it comes to diagnosing it, most people don't even know unless you have to go to the hospital and get yourself checked. And I think that's one of the reasons why 1 in 2 can also know that they have diabetes.
Now, we've seen 2 reports just before we came into the studio about the World Diabetes Day. And what are some of the symptoms of diabetes, and how can this particular ailment be treated or controlled?
Okay, when it comes to the symptoms of diabetes, things like peeing very much frequently, especially at night, then eating uncontrollably and irrationally. Then it comes to having recurrent infections, or even having wound infections that refuses to heal in time. Then also comes to weight loss. Most people with diabetes end up having weight loss because of that as well, among some other symptoms. Like, for example, in the females, they have some form of itching or even infections in the private part can also give you an idea this patient might be having diabetes and needs to be quickly diagnosed and also quickly taken care of.
Some people living with diabetes don't even exhibit any symptoms. Can you shed more light on this?
Yes, that's definitely true. Diabetes can be asymptomatic, I would say, because it depends on the level of the blood glucose, the blood sugar level. If it is not at a high level, might not even have diabetes. For example, if the patient is pre-diabetic or even type 2 diabetes, it might even take a long time before the symptoms actually show. But in type 1 patients, type 2 diabetic patients, symptoms come very suddenly. So yeah, people who are pre-diabetic or even type 2 diabetes, they can be asymptomatic for a very long time.
Going by the theme of this year's World Diabetes Day, if not now, when? Now that's quite significant, but is diabetes actually treatable?
For a very long time now, even as we saw in the report, for a very long time now, diabetes has no cure. It can only be managed. Be managed in the sense that you have to do a lot of things to take care of yourself, like physical activity. You have to be physically active. If you're overweight or even obese, try as much as possible to shed some weight. Eat healthy. You know, like from the report, the professor talked about taking more of complex sugars than simple or saturated sugars. Yes, because it tends to, once complex sugars are taken, the body can break them down. But if you take in saturated sugars or saturated fats, the body tends to have a whole lot of trouble breaking it down. So these are actually some of the things that can be done to manage blood sugar. But for now, there is no cure. Hopefully someday with our research and some of our treatment modalities, hopefully someday there will be a cure. But for now, there is no cure.
That's disheartening, but also encouraging because early detection would really go a long way. Dr. Angela Aibolo of Gariki Hospital here in Abuja would like to thank you for coming in on Nationwide.
Thank you very much.
I'll be conversing with Dr. Angela Aibolo here on the 2021 World Diabetes Day on ways to prevent and also treat it. Let's go on to Nationwide and tell you that the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 51 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. States with new cases include Katsina with 34 cases, 11 cases in Lagos. Kano has 3 cases with 2 cases in Cross River, and Bauchi has 1 case. This brings the total confirmed cases in the country to 213,127, while 205,491 cases have been treated and discharged, and 2,960 persons have died so far of COVID-19 in the country. The 22nd Ordinary Meeting of ECOWAS Health Ministers is underway in Abuja. The conference is with 13 health ministers from the African region who will take decisions on matters affecting the health needs of the people with COVID-19 interventions at the center stage. Basi Ita-Ipan reports.
These medical experts from African region converge on Nigeria to take deliberate actions towards addressing issues of recurring epidemics, scarcity of resources, maternal, child and adolescent health, quality standards of services, prevention and control of communicable diseases in the region.
But the West African region had some of the worst indicators of mother and child in the world. And it's not just limited to one country, but across all the 15 countries in West Africa.
It is a big challenge we have to address, so it will be better for us to be together. I say together we are more strong and we can face our challenges.
The 22nd Ordinary Meeting will also take decisions and present recommendations to member states on matters of interest to the health of the population. The Director General of WAHU, Professor Stanley Okolo, highlighted some of the organization's COVID-19 intervention in the region.
WAHU has delivered over $51 million of COVID-19 support to all 15 countries.
The ECOWAS Assembly of Health Ministers has the responsibility of ensuring the attainment of highest possible standard and protection of the health of the people in the sub-region through the harmonization of the policies of member states. Basi Taikman, NTA News.
You're welcome back. A new beginning has been promised, and its manifestation was one of the major prayer points for the nation at the 20th Abuja Special Holy Ghost Service organized by the Northern Region of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Charles Alpha reports.
From every province, parish, zone and state, members of the Redeemed Christian Church of God converge on the Redemption Camp, Outer Gorugu Village, on Abuja Kefi Expressway to offer prayers for themselves and the country. The title of this year's Special Holy Ghost program, Alpha and Omega, led out by the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, re-echoed this fact and the importance of committing one's life to the all-knowing God who sees the end of everything from the beginning.
Your origin is in God, in Alpha, that you are not an accident, that is an architect. Therefore, he knows the origin of all your problems.
For 20 years, the church, with the support of God, has been committed to touching lives and impacting destinies. And this was not an exception.
At a time like this, Nigeria needs our prayers. It has always been a tremendous experience. Personally, I've experienced God.
Members of the church were told to expect a new beginning in all aspects of their lives and remain fervent in prayers for leaders in Nigeria. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Lack of adequate supply of potable water to some parts of the Federal Capital Territory has continued to be a major source of concern for the residents of the FCT. This is aside the intermittent disruption of water supply by the FCT Water Board, causing residents untold hardship. In this report, Ifeanyi Ezumba takes a look at the water situation in the FCT and what the board is doing to address the challenge.
Areas affected mostly by the water scarcity include Kubwa, Gwarimpa, and in particular Buari, where residents say as the host community of the Lower Osuma Dam, they do not have pipe-on water. The Kubwa community that has pipe-on water does not have enough supply from the board.
There was a time when I had to pay for burst pipe, which was outside my building. So, and I thought it was not fair.
The acting general manager, FCT Water Board, Joy Okoro, says the power fluctuation from AEDC is giving the board problems in the waterworks section. Due to this development, they no longer produce maximally as their machines cannot take the voltage of water.
Sale of Buari, yes. It has been a common decimal. We've been having that problem in Buari, which there's construction going on to have a dedicated line from Buari area and Oshafa joints that are very close to the Lower Osman Dam. But areas like Kubwa and Gwarimpa, we've not been having problem at all there. So what is happening now is just because of this fluctuation we're having with light, that we are not producing maximally. The same thing with Kubwa.
The general manager maintains that the contractors are still working and it is expected that the delivery period will be accomplished. Meanwhile, most parts of the territory depend on borehole water. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NTA News.
The FCT administration has declared a state of emergency in water sanitation and hygiene and joined the national push to end open defecation. This followed the discovery that about 40% of the FCT population still practice open defecation, a trend the FCT Minister of State, Ramatu Tijani Aliyu, says is unacceptable. Ifeanyi Ezumba reports on the official declaration of the state of emergency.
We have
fathers to give you all the support.
The 6 area council chairmen signing to demonstrate their commitment to end open defecation. In the battle against open defecation, the FCT administration established the Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency, RUWASA, as the coordinating body for water sanitation and hygiene activities in the FCT.
With the energy FCT asserts in every duty assigned, owning WASH itself and making it an integral part of us will make us win this challenge, and we'll be waiting for your prize.
The Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, affirmed that the country was making steady progress in meeting the objective of ending open defecation by 2025 and improving sustainable access to sanitation and hygiene.
We now have 71 open defecation-free LGAs in the country, and additional LGAs are undergoing the ODA validation process using the national protocol developed by the National Task Group of Sanitation.
Let us look at it this way. Have you suddenly been pressed outside in the evening? You look around, there is no toilet. You just look for one corner and then ease nature. Has it happened to you in the last 6 months? If your answer is yes, you have engaged in open defecation.
The administration says it has also inaugurated a high-powered committee for the assessment and replacement of about 1,000 water compartment toilets, as well as repair of vandalized boreholes across the 6 area councils and their public schools. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Esumba, NTA News.
It's time to join Zinret in our Just Network Center for the continuation of Nationwide. Good evening, Zinret.
Welcome to JOS. Motorists plying the Vom Road will soon heave a sigh of relief as the Federal Ministry of Works commences rehabilitation of the road. Caleb Gochin reports.
The story of the Vom Road has been told severally, possibly because of its strategic location. The construction of the road, which links Plateau State from the northern zone with Kaduna at the southern end, came with great enthusiasm to the people until most portions began to give way shortly after completion. Palliative measures have continued to be carried out, with residents along the road contributing in making the bad portions motorable. Recent efforts by government to give the road some attention is being received with great joy.
The road is really bad. It's as a result of that, you can see we are towing this car. The bottom plane has burst as a result of the bad road. If the government are going to repair the road, I think it's a great achievement to all of us.
We are happy seeing it like this. We pray that when they do it, it will not spoil fast.
Controller of Works, Plateau State, says efforts are being put in place to re-award the contract for total overhaul.
I believe very soon federal government will, because they are aware, quite all right, that this road needs full rehabilitation. And in fact, I was even instructed to submit a proposal on this very road, which I've done earlier. So, and I believe it's receiving attention right now.
Going by this commitment, the motoring public will soon enjoy driving through the road again, which has one of the most beautiful landscapes in the country. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
Director General Industrial Training Fund, Sir Joseph Ari, says it is building ITF that will lubricate the industrial hub of the country by way of ensuring that industries operate optimally. This was at the 2021 Performance Review meeting in Jos. Grace Akwegotip reports.
Gathered in this hall are ITF management staff who were invited to review their activities for this year and chart a roadmap as it enters a new phase of life. The organization is desirous of seeing ITF as the leading learning and development agency that Nigeria depends upon in terms of actualizing building of economy.
I would like to see an ITF that adds value in taking Nigeria to be among the top countries in the Committee of Nations. I will also want to see an ITF that competes favorably with other learning and development agencies worldwide.
The theme of the event, which is target setting and achievement in a post-COVID-19 era, the way forward for ITF, which was carefully selected, provided platform to address challenges currently faced by ITF and other organizations.
Challenges we are currently confronting today as fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic will be with us for some time to come.
Director General expresses appreciation to ICPC for making ITF as the most ethic, compliant and integrity agencies amongst 352 federal government ministries, departments and agencies surveyed by the Commission in 2020. Grace Akwegotip, NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. It's back to Ayo in Abuja.
Thanks, Zinret, in our Jos Network Center. The operators of the Warri-Itakpe train service say there is no illegal train service along the Warri-Itakpe rail line, as all the mapped out substations and hot stations are formally designated for effective service delivery. This is in reaction to a viral video which the authorities have described as the handiwork of mischief makers trying to portray the organization as operating an illegal stop at Uromi in Edo State. Austin Edemodu has the details.
The dust earlier raised by the viral video alleging sharp practices along the Uromi station by the operators of the Warri-Itakpe train service may have settled for now. This is because the authorities have come to clarify that the Uromi hot station is actually an officially designated ticketing office which opened for service barely a week ago to effectively meet the demands of increasing number of passengers along the Uromi axis. The coordinator of Warri-Itakpe train service, Abdulganiyu Sani, therefore dismissed any form of sharp practices by the staff of the Nigerian Railway Corporation as being speculated in certain quarters.
The first day of that opening of that place, people were already queuing to buy ticket. What are we here for? Is it not to provide service? So what is wrong with providing service for people that need the service?
What could therefore be the motive behind the viral video, even when there are signs of ticketing office and the presence of local vigilante from this amateur video made available by the authorities?
I would have loved that the person who videoed that will have also videoed the porter cabin behind him, showing that there is a presence of railway staff and they are selling tickets. People who were boarding the train have bought their ticket and they were boarding the train, so that people will not think that it is the driver of the train who has a conductor and shall stop for him to get money for that is not fair for the drivers and it's not fair for the railway workers.
Meanwhile, the operators of the Warri-Itakpe train service say they are poised for effective service delivery as passenger services continue unhindered. I'm Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
Making a call using a mobile phone has over the years become some sort of a norm, but it wasn't always the practice, at least not until the rollout of Global System for Mobile Communications, popularly called GSM, in 2001. In this special report, ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson takes a look at the impact of 20 years of GSM, the second-generation mobile technology in Nigeria.
From the very first GSM call in 2001, the digital transformation in Nigeria has recorded an extraordinary trajectory, from internet to data services, e-government, ICT infrastructure providers, fintech, health, banking, IT regulation and others have all witnessed massive growth.
Rashida was just a baby when GSM was introduced in the country 2 decades ago, after the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) opened the nation's telecom space to investors to operate GSM technology, which over time saw the industry moving from 400,000 lines to over 207 million mobile lines and adding billions of dollars in foreign and local direct investments. Today, she's not just an owner of a mobile phone, but she's also tech-savvy.
The GSM has been impactful to me because I've been able to use it for a lot of purposes. I've been able to use it to make calls to reach people from different parts of the world.
As countries around the world move to digitize their economies and leverage the power and infrastructure of the telecommunications industry, Nigeria is fast-tracking the frontiers of indigenous technologies and emerging innovations, as the country, after transiting from 3G to 4G, is now on the verge of deploying 5G technology. Although the industry is dynamic, telecom operators, regulators and consumers at an event to commemorate the 20 years advent of GSM in Nigeria are insisting that the country has a bright future, despite the challenges confronting it, as they present awards of excellence to deserving persons in the ICT sector. Even yours truly was one of the awardees.
We have also started looking at 6G, even though 5G is at its initial stage. So I would say in this country we have done a lot. We have integrated really very, very fast.
I believe they have done well, but there's more to do. They have more to do in the area of reaching the uncovered locations.
The revolution that the GSM has brought to Nigeria is quite apparent in every sphere of Nigerian activity.
A new horizon beckons, and maybe when Rashida turns 40, the digital game would have comparatively gone notches higher. For now, though, there seems to be a unanimous belief among key players that the transformational development in the telecoms sector in 20 years has significantly impacted positively on the socio-economic lives of Nigerians. But then, a clause, there is more work to be done. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.